Well, polls are officially open across North and South Carolina, and if you are headed to the polls today, there are a few things you need to keep in mind before you go.
That's right. WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards live for us this morning with details on what you need to bring with you and what you should be leaving at home. Destiny, good morning.
Good morning. Yes, polls are open. They open at 6:30 this morning in North Carolina. We have been seeing voters out and about. Most important things to know if you're heading to your polling place or you're going later today, make sure you look up what your assigned polling place is and make sure you have your photo ID with you. Now, unlike with early voting, you have to vote at your assigned polling place on Election Day. You can find yours using the voter search tool on the State Board of Elections website. Voters will also be asked to show their photo ID when checking in to vote. If you don't have yours, you can vote using a provisional ballot, but you'll be asked to either fill out a form explaining why you're unable to provide one or show your photo ID at your County Board of Elections office by November 14th for the vote to count. Voters with absentee ballots will need to drop off the completed ballot at their County Board of Elections office or choose to vote in person instead. Michael Dickerson with Mecklenburg County Board of Elections says tabulating these votes could take a few extra days.
We have absentee ballots that are allowed to be accepted if they come into my office by Election Day at 7:30 p.m. I also have provisional ballots that are out there, maybe a few thousand is what we could be looking at.
As for what you can't bring with you to the polls, you can't make calls or take pictures in the voting booth, and not all polling sites will allow food or drink. North Carolina does allow people to carry guns at polling sites unless it's at a location where they're already banned, like schools or churches. Now, polls close at 7:30 p.m. across the state, and if you're in line at 7:30, you can stay in line. You will still be allowed to vote. After those polls close, then unofficial results will be posted on the State Board of Elections website. Live in West Charlotte, I'm Destiny Richards, WCNC Charlotte.
All right, Destiny, thank you. And just a reminder that in South Carolina, you cannot wear political attire to the polls. That includes shirts or hats for certain candidates. Otherwise, the major rules remain the same. Bring your photo ID, vote at your assigned polling place, and treat poll workers with respect and kindness.
Well, you've heard about swing states. Well, what about swing counties? They do actually exist. And for reference, let's go back 4 years. This is the race as it stands right now. Of course, no totals in it right now, but let's go back 4 years to the race between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, and you can see where some of these toss-ups are. We've turned on the heat map. Basically, what this is, the different shades, the deeper the red, the more conservative, the deeper the blue, more liberal. And that gives us some clues. For example, Charlotte is always going to be blue. We know what to expect there. Alexander County, going to be red, voted 79% for Donald Trump. Yadkin County, even a higher percentage of that, 80%. These counties are not a big toss-up. You know what's going to happen there. There are a few, though, across the state of North Carolina and specifically here in our area that are a bit of toss-ups. And one of those is right here out Highway 74, Anson County. Take a look at it. Back in 2020, 51.8%. That was Joe Biden's victory. And it was just by 468 points. So it was a narrow victory at that. He actually underperformed what Hillary Clinton did 4 years before that. Just a few miles down from that, Scotland County, also a very close one. Across the state, perhaps the closest race, perhaps the biggest toss-up of a county would be out Nash County, northeast of Raleigh, where 4 years ago there were only 120 votes between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. This also happens to be the home county of Governor Cooper. So although many of these are predictable, some are not. And some of them that are not predictable, they're not big, huge population centers that are going to sway the vote one way or the other. But they are unpredictable, and taken as a total, they could have an impact on the election. Sarah?
All right, Ben, thank you. Well, a lot of folks are also asking if they can register to vote at the polls, but unlike several states, we don't have that option here in the Carolinas. In North Carolina, voters must be registered at least 25 days prior to the election or register during the early voting period. And in South Carolina, voters must be registered at least 30 days prior to any election. And a reminder for voters in Charlotte this morning, CATS is providing free rides to and from the polls today. This applies to buses, the blue and gold Lynx lines, and other services. Uber and Lyft are also offering 50% off rides to polling places. If you don't already know your polling location or you have other Election Day questions, we're making it really easy for you to get those answers that you need. Just scan the QR code on your screen, or you can text the word election to 704-329-3600 to get our complete election guide.
And remember, WCNC Charlotte is the place for everything you need to know before and after you cast your vote. Tune in tonight from 4 to 6:30 right on WCNC TV, and then starting at 7 on WCNC Plus. We'll be streaming live the results as they come in. The first numbers start coming in around 7:30 when polls close, and the state elections director tells me she expects to have the bulk of the results between 9:30 and 11 o'clock tonight, with all of them probably around midnight. So just search WCNC Plus on your Apple TV, Fire TV, or Roku.
How does that compare to
Gonna
the
be
last
exciting.
election?
4 years ago, they had all the results in by 12:28 election night next morning. So they're hoping to meet that same sort of timeline. Yeah, I know, it's a lot of work.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Weather-wise, I mean, it could be worse for sure. And it's going to be a day with more clouds and sunshine. A few showers, not a washout, but just be prepared, especially, I think, some of the later voters, maybe late afternoon, early evening, could be a couple showers out there. Not expecting storms. Temperatures today in the low to mid-70s for highs this afternoon.
All right, Larry. Thank you. Looks good.
All right, listen, folks, get out and vote. Thank a poll worker, and then tune in tonight, and then back here tomorrow morning. We'll see what happens.
All right. Have a good day, everybody.